Welcome to the Sports Scouting Report podcast with Lee Brecheen.
Hi, everyone. We're recording. This is Lee Brecheen, host of the Sports Scouting Report. I'm really happy today. We have a great guest, one of my favorite all-time former Louisiana high school football players. He went to Christian Life High School back in the day in Baton Rouge, was an all-American quarterback at the University of Louisville, where in 2003 he had a phenomenal season. 2004, one of the all-time leading passers at Louisville College with 5,853 yards, first in pass completion percentage with 66% completing of his balls there. We'll talk more about it, but I want to welcome to our show Stefan Laflore. Stefan, thanks for joining us.
Man, thanks for having me, Lee. It's awesome.
I can't get your whole resume out in the beginning, Coach. So I'm trying to. I mean,
that's all right, man.
And by the way,
an old has-been, brother.
Hey, man, you still with us? You're young. And by the way, the focal point today, the topic today is that Stefan is the current head high school football coach of Parkview Baptist High School in Baton Rouge. If you don't know where it's at, we're gonna talk about the whole history today. And Stefan, I've got stuff that I've dug up that you'll appreciate. History of the schools, famous people that have come out of there, even if they didn't play football. But I'm going to go ahead and thank a couple of our sponsors before we start the show with Stefan. I want to thank John Harvey Toyota in Bossier City, Shreveport, a big sponsor of ours. Looking for a used car or a new car, be sure to call them. They're in Bossier City, also in Shreveport. They have hybrids, they have luxury models, fuel-efficient compacts, certified pre-owned with a warranty. Also, Medine's Collision Center in Baton Rouge is a big sponsor of ours. Medine's Collision Center, we want to thank them for Chris Medine, Dominica Medine, his wife, and Jesse Medine, their son, for being a part of it so we can have this show. They're located on Kincaid Avenue in Baton Rouge. Their number is 225-357-7983. Family-owned since the 1960s. And with all this rain and all this flooding, and if you've got any problems with your car, these are great people. Be sure to call them, Medine's Collision Center in Baton Rouge. I want to go ahead and get started with our interview with Coach Stefan LeFors. And calling you Coach, man, I'm getting old, Stefan, because you were on the cover of our magazine back in the day. And I want to say Christian Life's no longer around. It makes me sad that they're not here anymore. They went to Church Academy. They changed the name. And no longer a school. And I know that when you went there, Michael Clayton, Rufus Alexander that made All-American, Ross Nix. I mean, y'all had a lot of great players at Christian Life.
Yeah, shoot, even before me, if you remember, Desmond Williams was a 4-year starting quarterback there that under Coach Ironside had a lot of stuff. They went, I think, 13-1 back-to-back years, semifinals, and lost to Evangel and Haynesville. They ran into those juggernauts.
That's right. That's right.
Then you had Rashawn Matthews, who went on to play at OSU, and they had some good players, man. Dante McKenzie was a running back. My freshman year, he was a senior. That was a great high school running back, and just a lot of great players and good teams, and just sad to see it no longer exists, and they had some great seasons. Warren Capone, they took him to the Dome. And,
that's right.
I don't know what year that was, but that was after me. But yeah, man, a lot of great memories there. So it's kind of sad. I drive by the campus every now and again over there, and it's the church part of it is still running. They kind of got bought out or by another church, but the campus, it was a nice campus, and it's just kind of overgrown and just kind of sad to see.
I want to again, we're talking to Stefan LeFors, the current head football coach, high school football coach, Parkview Baptist High School in Baton Rouge, former All-American quarterback at Louisville. But before Louisville, and I got to give you some kudos, Stefan, before we start talking about Parkview Baptist and later in the show. What I remember about you, because I was starting a magazine back in '96, and you were in the 2000s. And I'll never forget, you were number 1 was your jersey. I don't know why I remember that, but you were number 1. And you were thin. Now you were super athletic, and you were one of those guys that was not, I guess you weren't polished at the time, but you were a great athlete playing quarterback. You could run, you could do it all, you could throw, but I mean, people are like, man, he's not tall enough, he's not heavy enough. And I'm telling people, I'm like, he's going to be on the cover of our magazine. This guy's got some stuff to him, and I didn't know what was going to happen to you, and I didn't know, but I'm thinking, man, this guy's got something to him. And sure enough, you tell everybody your story, because you didn't sign a scholarship out of high school at Louisville. You had to walk on.
No, so really, man, Lee, it's crazy. My whole life, I played football starting when I was young, 7 years old, 8 years old, whatever. And I have an older brother who he's been a quarterback his whole life. And he had some success. He played at the school for the deaf and threw for a bunch of yards and all that kind of stuff. And I remember my whole life, he's like, hey, you need to play quarterback. You need to play quarterback. I didn't want to. I didn't want to follow in this footsteps. I wanted to play running back, receiver. I wanted to play corner and all those kinds of things. That's what I did really all the way up through 8th grade. And in middle school at Christian Life, obviously it's a K through 12 school. 8th grade, I'm over there and I'm playing running back or kind of a wing in our system, and the starting quarterback gets hurt, so I got to come in and play. And our head varsity coach, Phil Ironside at the time, was there watching, and so I'm playing quarterback. I'm just winging it. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just playing and backyard football really. And he saw something in me and he said, hey, Desmond's graduating next year. I don't have a quarterback. I want you to come and compete for it. I said, yeah, sure, I'm in. And lo and behold, I was a 4-year starter there and had to learn a lot on the run there. And Coach Ironside was huge in teaching me how to play the position. And unfortunately for me, he left after my sophomore year and got a new coach. So I didn't learn as much my junior, senior year, the technical side of it, but just kind of went out there and just tried to play. And having guys like Michael Clayton around me definitely doesn't hurt. But yeah, so recruiting wise, man, I was, like you said, I was small. I'm 5'11", 6 foot maybe, and then 170 pounds my senior year, and I'm not your prototypical quarterback, but I feel like I could play, and I had an offer from Nicholls State, but they wanted me to come play corner. I had a walk-on opportunity at USL at the time, ULL now, and but that was going to kind of be my last resort. So we made a bunch of highlight tapes. My brother, with his help, put together a bunch of VHS highlight tapes together, and we blasted them out all across the country.
The old VHSs, huh, Stefan?
Yeah, VHS. We had 2 VCRs hooked up, and we were editing all day long. And like I said, sending them out from Hawaii to East Carolina and just about every, kind of mid-major, if you want to call it, in between. And Louisville was one of the spots I sent it to at the time. And the reason why we knew about them, I think they had a game against Army one night during the week on Fox Sports TV or something, and Chris Redmond was throwing the ball all over the field over there, and I'm like, man, I like what they do, man. I would love to go there. Mm-hmm. And lucky for me, they called me and they said, hey, at the time they were really just calling me to help me out, which is really really rare. He's the offensive coordinator Scott Linehan, who was actually just here at LSU last year, and he was the quarterback coach OC, and he said, hey, listen, I got your tape, I love it. We don't really have anything here, but I got some buddies out at Northern Arizona and Eastern Washington that I think you'd be a great fit for. Are you willing to go out there? So, yeah, I'm willing to go wherever. I just want a shot. And a couple of weeks went by, and signing day had already passed. And at the time, a lot of schools were taking those prop kids, and Louisville had a couple, but it didn't pan out, so it opened up a couple spots. And I remember him calling me on, after the signing day in February there, and he said, hey, have you been in contact with my guys at Northern Arizona and Eastern Washington? Yeah, I said, I'm getting ready to plan a visit. And he said, well, don't talk to him anymore. We want to bring you up here, and we're going to offer you a scholarship. So that's how it worked out. I didn't even have to walk on, Lee, and it was a blessing, man. That doesn't happen these days anymore. And so fortunate for me, they took a shot with me, and I signed and redshirted and had to get in the weight room and live in the weight room and eat and get bigger and learn, and had to kind of buy my time. And when I got that opportunity my junior year, I ran with it.
Yeah, that's a great story, and it still happens some. We've had some kids sign after signing day with some big schools. It's not common, though, like you said, Stefan. But your passion and want to continue playing ball is what made it pay it off, and thank God some people saw that in you. But we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to have more with Coach Stefan LeFors from Parkview Baptist. We're going to talk more about his team. And by the way, he played in the NFL, was a 4th-round draft pick of the Carolina Panthers, 121st pick in the 2005 NFL draft. I'll ask him about that, too, when we come back, what it was like getting drafted which is every boy's dream growing up. But we'll be right back. Listen, whatever you're driving right now, Tommy Harvey wants it. Bring it in to Harvey Subaru, Lexus of Shreveport, Bossier City, or John Harvey Toyota. They're paying big bucks for all trades right now. They'll cut you a check right there. Tell them Lee sent you. Welcome back. Our guest today is Stefan LeFors, the head football coach at Parkview Baptist. Stefan, I mean, what was it like getting drafted in round 4? I mean, that's a big deal in the NFL. I mean, you go from being a 170-pound quarterback at Christian Life Academy and, in Baton Rouge, you have this great career at Louisville, and your name's called, and it's not round 7, it's round 4. And, I mean, you're drafted by Carolina, pretty good program. I mean, what was it like for you to hear your name drafted?
It was awesome. It like you said, it's a dream come true. I mean, as a little kid, when you're out in the backyard throwing the football around, you always, I'm gonna be in the NFL one day. If you're shooting hoops, I'm gonna be in the NBA or in the MLB or something. You always dream that, and now I was no different. I dreamed that since I was a little kid, and never really thought it would come to real life. And coming out of Louisville, and obviously going through the whole process was looking back, man, it was a pretty cool experience. The combine, all the private workouts and the pro days and all that kind of stuff, man. Going through it at that time, you're a nervous wreck, and who knows what's going to happen. And the combine, that's a whole nother
different deal, yeah.
It's amazing, it really is. And but man, yeah, Carolina. The funny thing is, I never really once had a conversation with Carolina throughout the whole draft process.
Wow.
So when it was their pick, I thought, okay, this ain't me, And
right.
There were a handful of teams, I can't remember them all, but I was like, okay, maybe they seemed like they showed a lot of interest, and it's funny because you get the agent and stuff, and the agent's like, hey, don't get your hopes up,
Right.
At the time, it was just a Saturday Sunday 2-day draft. They did rounds 1 through 3 on Saturday and 4 through 7 on Sunday, and he said, hey, you're projected anywhere from 3rd to undrafted. I'm like, gee, that's a wide range. But okay,
right.
We'll roll with it. But it's funny because how long those drafts are.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
So round 1 comes up, and it's taken 3 hours just to get through the first round. And it got to a point where at the end of the first round, I'm like, oh, please say me, please say me, please say me.
Right.
No, I had no chance of going that early. But, you get through Saturday, and I'm like, all right, well, obviously I don't have a home yet, and then early in round 4, luckily, Carolina comes up, and my phone rings, and it's an unknown caller, and they say, hey, make sure you answer every phone call. Don't turn those down. And sure enough, I answer, and it's a guy from Carolina. Hey, we're going to take you here. And I thought, man, that's awesome. And I was with my wife because I got married during college, and we were in our apartment up in Louisville, in a small apartment. Man, we're jumping up and down on the bed, and sure enough, it comes across the screen, and man, it's definitely a memory that I'll have with me for the rest of my life. It was a special day.
They loved you all along and didn't tell you. That's good.
Yeah.
They called you. That's what matters. They called you and drafted you. But we're going to take another break, and when we come back, I want to get into Parkview Baptist High School. I mean, man, if I was a high school kid in Baton Rouge, I'd want to play for Stefan. I'm just telling you right now, Stefan, I'd want to be one of your players. With your coaching background, pedigree, and we'll talk about that later in the show in Kentucky when you stayed and coached high school football in Kentucky before you came back to Louisiana. We'll be right back with more of Stefan LeFors at Parkview Baptist High School. We'll be right back. Looking for a used car? Harvey Autos has 3 dealerships, which means 3 times the used vehicles. They've got everything from fuel-efficient compacts to luxury models, even hybrids, and certified pre-owned with a warranty. Check out John Harvey Toyota, Harvey Subaru, or Lexus of Shreveport, Bossier City. Welcome back. You're listening to the Sports Scouting Report. Our guest today is Stefan LeFors, the current football head coach at Parkview Baptist, former Louisville All-American quarterback. I want to mention this before we get back with Stefan, is that in 2004, you almost broke Dante Culpepper's season record completion percentage. It was close. It was 73.6. His was 73.5. And then you led Louisville to 11-1 record and finished 6th, the highest finish in the final AP poll, the highest finish in school history, and won the Liberty Bowl. Man, that's a name I hadn't heard in a while, the Liberty Bowl.
Yeah.
But that was a heck of an accomplishment to finish the highest ever in the history of the program. And you finished your weight-wise tell me if I'm wrong. This is Wikipedia, but you got up to 203 pounds from 170.
Yeah. That was pretty much my playing weight my senior year. At the combine, the knock on me was too light. Obviously, I wasn't gonna get any taller. I measured in at 6 foot even, but my weight, they were like, hey, if you can be like, the Drew Brees and I forget some of the other shorter quarterbacks at the time, if you can get your weight up, and man, I never ate so much and drank so much water leading up to that combine. And I got on the scale and weighed 208 at the combine, but I couldn't hold it. I was more 202, 203, somewhere in there.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, a heck of a weight going from 165-ish, 170 at Christian Life,
Yeah.
I want to talk about Parkview Baptist, and when they hired you, you came home, and it's good to have you back. You were in Kentucky for a few years. When you finished at Louisville, there's a lot of good programs there, in Paducah and Louisville, around Lexington, and obviously, Fort Highlands. There's a lot of good schools there that I follow. I've been following for years. There's some good football, and you coached there. And then being back in Louisiana, you're at a school that's got a lot of tradition. I want to mention the late Kenny Guillotte that had so many great years that passed away this year from Parkview Baptist, and then Jay Maye that had a long term there as well. And my friend Boots Garland, who's no longer with us, he's passed away a few years ago, was one of the first coaches. And in 1981, the school started. And if you look at it, Stefan, 1981 was not that long ago, if you really think about it, right? I mean, 1981.
Yeah. That's when I was born.
Yeah, oh, man, I'm getting scared. I was born in 70. But some of the great players to come out of Parkview Baptist, notable alumni, Derry Beckwith was an all-SEC linebacker at LSU. Brad Wing, how can we forget the Australian punter of LSU in the NFL? Another player, that Tanner Jenkins, I thought was a great offensive lineman that went to Arkansas State. Lyle Hitt. Currently Colin Cook, who's at Evangel in Missouri. He's doing real well. DeSante Rollins is a D tackle that you coached as well. That's at Ole Miss. And there's some we're going to talk about some of the players coming up, some of this past year guys that signed. But going to the playoffs last year for you, I think, was really good because even though y'all are one of the biggest enrollment private schools in the state, numbers are not really high on the football end. And you've been able to win, and you've been able to come in and bring in a new offense that used to be really a run offense mainly in the past. And you've been able to open it up a little bit, and these kids are excited. And I mean, y'all had a great year this past year in 220 with all this, all the COVID and all this stuff to overcome. Yeah. Wasn't it a great year, Coach?
Yeah, it was. It was a good year. Year one, the year before was tough. Like you said, a complete overhaul and system, an offensive system that we ran, and coming in and putting a staff together and all that kind of stuff. Year one's always going to be tough, and we felt like we left some opportunities out there. We ended up going 5-6 year one and lost to Turlings in the first round. But I felt like other than a couple games early on, we were competitive for the most part, and that's what I like to see with our kids. That they were willing to compete. So going into year two, we felt like, okay, kind of settling in a little bit more, and then COVID hits, and you're like, man, how are the kids going to be when they're out on their own? And so we like crazy, man, trying to stay in touch with them, and through the Zooms and all those online meetings and all that. And then once we were able to get going in the summer with workouts, man, I was really proud of our guys and how they handled that whole situation, and it showed itself during the season. We opened up at Dunham. We opened up at Dunham, which obviously the 10-game schedule got reduced down to 8.
Yeah.
And we were in a hole early, man. They were beating us all up and down the field, and we couldn't get anything going. And finally, something clicked, and we ended up coming from behind and winning that game in overtime, and that was a huge comeback. And that kind of set the tone for the rest of the year. But losing 2 games in the regular season to 2 really, really good football teams in Madison Prep and U High. And in both of those games at halftime, we're in it, and then the second half it gets away from us, and then obviously in the playoffs, getting a home win over St. Louis Catholic was big for us. But then going down to St. Thomas More, you kind of realize that they're in a whole nother league. So,
150 guys that can play. Yeah.
Yeah, they're a well-oiled machine over there, and they got some really great players. But but it was good to see that in person, for me and to see what it's supposed to look like. And we've got a ways to go to get to that level, but I like the progress that we made, and we had some good players that were in for the second year of our system, which helped with the quarterback Roman Mula and some other key players, offensive linemen. So it was a good class. It was a fun year, and like you said, I'm proud of those guys and how it went for us.
I'm just happy we had a season, and we can finally sit down and go, whew, all right,
yeah,
we did
absolutely.
it, and we can get back to normal now. We can have spring practice now. I mean, it's just just how we got through it. Thank God we did. But I want to take a break, and when we come back, Stefan, I want to ask you about the guys coming back. I've got some names to throw out, let you brag about your team a little bit, and then talk about the guys that just signed and some guys that maybe you still would like to see them go to college. Maybe today's show will help them getting the name out. But we're going to go ahead and take a break and be back with more of Stefan LeFors, the former Christian Life High School quarterback in Baton Rouge, former Louisville quarterback, and former NFL quarterback and Canadian Football League. We'll mention that before the show's over. I want to get Coach's thoughts. I want to get Stefan's thoughts on what it was like living in Canada. I'll get those thoughts from him when we come back. We'll be right back. So, hey, guys, just wanted to take a minute to tell you about Harvey Autos. If you need a new or used car, there's 3 great dealerships right here worth checking out. John Harvey Toyota, Harvey Subaru, and Lexus of Shreveport, Bossier City. Low prices, honest people. Tell them Lee sent you. Welcome back. You listen to Sports Scouting Report. I'm your host, Lee Brecheen. We're talking with Stefan LeFors, one of the greats of Louisiana that and I don't think he's a has-been. I know the coach said you like, the past. But, man, look, we got to remember our great players. I remember you like yesterday, and I remember all those great players at Christian Life. What a run in Baton Rouge. And like you said, with the coaches there and all the players that came out of there. But, Coach, talk about before we get to your team and before we get to your current guys that just signed, but what do you think of living in Canada? I mean, you played – you played a little bit in the NFL, and then you experienced a couple of years in Canada. So what was it like for you going to Canada?
It was great. It was number one. It was another opportunity to keep playing, which which I'm extremely thankful for. You get all these startup leagues that try to go, and they don't last that long. But football, obviously, you don't have a lot of opportunities, and so Canada's been one that's been around for a long time, and it was a great opportunity for me to jump on that. Spent 2 years in Edmonton before getting traded to Winnipeg. Spent 1 year there, but it was a great experience. I mean, great people. It's a great game. A lot of people don't really understand all the rules in it. There's some big time differences in 3 downs versus 4 downs.
Yeah.
Width of the field.
Big end zone.
Big end zone, goalpost in the front. And you use those to pick plays when you get down there for sure. And but the special teams part of the game, some very cool rules that a lot of people probably don't know. But it would be really interesting to see how some of those rules would work here in our game. But 12 men on the field was huge versus 11 as a quarterback. You see that one extra defender, and it messes with you. So you got to get used to that. But it was a great experience. It's a great atmosphere. The fans get behind it. Obviously, hockey up there is still king, but football's right behind it. But it's a cool experience. You're up there from June until if you make it all the way to the Grey Cup, which is their Super Bowl. You're there kind of through maybe Thanksgiving, somewhere in there. So you're not really there for the winter months when it gets really brutal. So yeah, I mean, for me, it was an awesome experience, and very, very thankful to have had that opportunity.
You played for Edmonton and Winnipeg, and actually Winnipeg is where Warren Moon played a few years, I believe.
Yeah. Well, he was actually in Edmonton as well.
Edmonton, yes, Edmonton too. Yeah.
Yeah, but man, and seeing places, Lee, that I would never dream of seeing. Going to Calgary and British Columbia and Vancouver and Toronto and just Montreal, like all those places that football's done so much for me, man. It's just from meeting a bunch of people, some really good people, and then obviously seeing a bunch of places of this our country and Canada that I would never have had an opportunity to do.
I got to ask you this before we talk about Parkview. Did you learn any French?
No, man. If I would have been in Montreal longer, I would have had to. But no, it's funny because, you obviously have to have so many Canadians on your team. Every
Right,
CFL team
right.
has to have so many. And we drafted some, because our head coach was actually from Quebec. And so we drafted some guys, some Canadian college players from that area, and they came in, they barely knew English. So, man, just communicating with those dudes, I didn't learn a whole lot, but yeah, it would have been cool. I should have done that.
We had Peter Dykowski on that played at LSU.
Yeah.
And he was in the league. Yeah, when
Yeah.
you were there and he was there at the same time. And when he called in from Canada, I didn't realize I was having trouble hearing him. Like, I wasn't hearing him. I was trying to understand him, you got to pick on a certain way that things were said. So we were like, man, but it was great. It's great to hear that voice. But we were he was talking low on the phone, but a great interview. And now he's doing great, and he's back in Canada. He's from Canada. But we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk some Parkview 2021 kids like Roman that just graduated as quarterback, Joshua Chaney, some of the guys that are moving on, and then 222. Talk about your team. We'll be right back.
Parents, are you looking for advice on getting your high school athlete recruited by the right college? Lee Brecheen is your answer. Lee has been doing it for over 30 years. He knows the ropes, and more importantly, he knows the people. Lee offers turnkey service from evaluation, creating highlight tapes in the correct format, and complete guidelines for effective communication with the schools. No matter the sport, girl or boy, no matter what grade your child is in, let Lee Brecheen help match your child to the right college fit. Go to our website, lafootballmagazine.com, and get connected today.
Welcome back. This is our final segment with Coach Stefan LeFors, the head I want to say basketball, man. You don't do basketball, but the head football coach. And we'll talk. I want to give kudos to some of the other coaches, too, before we end the show, just to promote them, promote Parkview Baptist High School in Baton Rouge. But the 221 class, Coach, me and you talked about it. Me and about 500 coaches have talked about it in the last 3 months. It's been a tough class to get these guys signed because the seniors coming back for college. We do highlight tapes. We've helped guys. It's been a fight we're still helping some kids. But, your quarterback, Roman Muley, I think, is going to IMG Academy. Is that correct right now?
That's correct. Yeah, he's going to go for a post-grad year. Yep.
And then Christian Williams signed. Tell everybody where Christian went, a great player for you.
Yeah. Christian Williams was signed as a DB. He played both ways for us, as receiver and DB. Signed with San Houston State, who had a great year this past spring. So that was a big congrats to him, and well deserved for him. Great player, smart player, great athlete. He's gonna fit in well at San Houston State.
Yeah, I like him a lot. He actually played at your old high school. It was called Church Academy, but he played at your old high school before he joined Parkview. And then your center, Coach, what's going on with Joshua Chaney? I know he's a little undersized, but good player. I like Joshua Chaney.
Yeah, Chaney, man, was a big time player for us. I mean, you talk about the intensity he brought to the offensive line unit. Man, his motor was go. Yeah, like you said, a little bit undersized from a weight standpoint, but man, he played like he was
290,
315. Yeah. Oh, he was mean, and we need some of that to rub off on our guys coming up this year. But he's decided to hang him up. He's not going to play. He's a great student.
Okay.
He's got his priorities in order, and so he's probably going to go to LSU and start to work towards his degree. And he's going to be successful in life. No matter what he decides to do. But, man, he was great for us up front, really set the tone for us as a team.
I hope he changes his mind and walks on as a fullback because he's 6'2", about 230, 235 would be a great fullback because he's intense. And then Isaac Ponder was a good running back for you. Isaac Ponder did some good things. Man, he played like he was 300 pounds too, Isaac.
Yeah, man, you talk about a kid that's got it together, man. I mean, he went from football to powerlifting or soccer, I should say, in the winter, and then powerlifting, and did a great job. We just started a powerlifting program, and he kind of led that, and just a great young man. 3.7 GPA. I mean, he won our Eagle Award, which or one of our top awards for our team. Just outstanding man all around. Just not going to play college football. Again, going to be another guy just kind of focused on his academics. But Ian Pusho is another one that signed with Navy. outside linebacker for us. Actually moved him into the middle and made a bunch of plays for us. He's going to be he's a captain that we're going to miss quite a bit. But man, so proud of him. And he gets to go to the Naval Academy. That's a big deal. So for him, he's going to do great there for sure.
And then Kobe Miller was a good player for you. VJ Ladner, offensive lineman, is a guy that was a good player for you. And Zabian Bhutan was a great player for you. It was a good group of guys, Coach, that graduated.
Yeah, good group, great group of seniors. Zabian's actually going to go to Diamond Football Academy for a post-grad year. I think it's a new program over in Texas, kind of the northern part of Texas. I'm not sure exactly what town it's in, but he's going to get an opportunity to kind of extend his playing career and hopefully he does well and kind of get some attention and maybe land somewhere after that. But it was a tough year from that standpoint, recruiting standpoint. But man, this group of seniors, man, it's you don't want to say you have favorites, but man, this group was one of my favorites from top to bottom. I mean, just from how they worked on the field, but how they conducted their business off the field, and what kind of young men they were and are. They were a pleasure to be around, and we're going to miss that group. They left some big shoes to fill for this upcoming class for sure.
I want to mention some guys that are coming back and guys that are leaders for you. I'm not even going to talk about recruits, and I've seen them play, but guys that just tough-nosed kids. Some of them will be able to sign when this is over, but Wyatt Beck coming back for you, Gabe Mitchell, Shandon Jones, Brandon Favre. Maybe, I don't know, maybe you can tell me, is Clayton Como coming back and Gus Tuttle? Those are some good players.
Yeah.
And then your player, Micah Johnson, who's got 2 years left. Micah's a good player.
Yeah. To me, it kind of all starts with Wyatt Beck. Middle linebacker. He's getting some looks from some D2 schools, Arkansas, Monticello, and a couple of others in that conference. But it starts with him, and he's played a lot of ball here for us. He's the leader of our football team in the weight room this offseason. He's pulling guys up there with him up to his level, which is what we need. So it starts with him. He's a tough guy. He's a cowboy. He's a rodeo guy. He's mixing it up on the weekends at rodeos and stuff like that. So he's one of those guys, and it'll be fun to watch his senior year. And then other guys you mentioned, Shandon Jones and Peyton Frederick are a couple linemen, returning starters on the offensive line that are going to have to anchor that unit up front because we're going to have to bring in 3 new starters that we're going to have a work cut out for us up front. And but those are the 2 guys that we're going to have to lean on. You mentioned Gabe Mitchell and Clayton Como. Those are 2 receiver DBs that we have that have played a lot of ball, they'll be in the system now for 3 full years. And, great kids, good kids that are coachable, that can do everything we ask them to do. And then Jeremiah Devertel is a running back that's going to fill in and be our guy back there. He played a lot last year. Ponder got banged up a little bit, and Devertel had to kind of roll with it. He was kind of our 2-man and our 1-2 punch and did a lot of good things for us. So I'm really excited to see what he can do as the feature back, if you will. Micah Johnson is a guy that started as a freshman for us, kind of a few games into his freshman campaign, and he's got it physically. And so now we're just trying to challenge him and push him to be the best mentally as far as understanding the game and route running and being able to do different things with him, move him around, not just keep him on the outside, move him around. He's a big boy, 6'2", about 215 now, and so he's strong and so he's going to be a guy that we got to get the ball in his hands in more ways than one. Just having him on the outside, we got to move him inside. Heck, put him at wildcat quarterback, put him at running back, and let him get the ball in his hands and do what he does best. And then use him a little bit more on defense because he can be a factor for us on that side of the ball as well. So excited to see what he can do his junior year because I'm sure he's going to be on some boards for some colleges, and if he just has a big junior year and cap it off with a big senior year, I can see him getting some good looks. So quarterback, we're replacing Roman, like you said. Quarterback Nate Goza filled in for Roman when he got hurt last year and had to play a lot of meaningful snaps. He came in, he started the Madison prep game, played, won us the playoff game against St. Louis, and he's going to be a senior. He's not as athletic as far as running with like Roman is, but he's a smart kid. He's a heady player. Kids will follow him. He doesn't say a whole lot, but he shows up and he works each and every day. So it's a competition between him and we got a young sophomore named Micah Johnson that they're competing for the job. Abram is a little bit more athletic as far as running the football, so it's going to just kind of come down to who can kind of take it and run with it. So, man, we got some numbers, Lee. Man, our numbers we're up to 75.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that, Coach.
Yeah.
That's good stuff, man.
Yeah, Lee. We got a big senior class. We got a huge rising freshman class. So that's exciting. So, the buzz is out there within our school, and so we're just trying to make sure we hone it and keep it moving in the right direction.
I want to mention this. I heard through the grapevine, that 2 of your guys are pushing 500-pound squats right now. Between Brandon, I think between Wyatt Beck and Brandon Favre, they're doing the 500. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Brandon Favre, I didn't mention him earlier. I should have. I mean, along with Wyatt Beck, I mean, that dude's just been putting work in the weight room, and he's a strong man, strong young man who play defensive end for us. We're using that kind of a tight end, hybrid H-back guy, and we're expecting him to make a lot of plays for us on the edge defensively for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to hear the numbers, Coach, because when you took over 2 years ago, I mean, I don't know if y'all had 40 kids.
I think we were close to 50.
Yeah,
we were close to 50.
You built it back up.
Yeah, last year I think we were low 60s. Man, our middle school program last year had a really good. The last 2 years have kind of been on the up and up, and we've been able to kind of retain all those 8th grade kids and keep them in the program.
That's good.
And continue to grow them from the ground up here.
Yeah, and talk about, before we go, Coach. I want to give some kudos to your comrades over there, the other sports programs. Y'all just had a baseball coach retire. And I know that y'all, I didn't know if y'all had hired a baseball coach, but, obviously y'all got a good baseball program over at Parkview, a lot of tradition there. Basketball's real good. You want to mention Coach's name? I just want to promote the school a little bit before we go.
Yeah. No, it's a great place, Lee. I mean, coming from Kentucky down to here, the school setups are really similar, K through 12, Christian education, and they got a ton of tradition here. I mean, the baseball program, I don't know how many state titles, 10, 11 state titles and all, and they went undefeated up until the playoffs, and they ended up dropping a game in a best-of-3 series with E.D. White, and then they lost in the final against St. Louis Catholic, but a heck of a season that they've had. Basketball kind of, they had a good year this year. Jermaine Williams is a guy that played at LSU, played here at Parkview, graduated from Parkview back in the mid-'90s.
Yeah.
And he's our head basketball coach, and numbers are good over there. He's working his tail off and getting those guys ready to roll. And our softball program's always done well. Our soccer program, man, it's just a great school from top to bottom. We're all in. We're all working together to make sure we give the student athletes here the best possible experience they can have in high school. And that's why I do what I do. I mean, I love football. I love playing it, but knowing all the wonderful things that all of my coaches have had an impact on me, how much they've had an impact on me. That's why I do what I do. I want to give it back to the kids that I have the opportunity to coach. So I appreciate you having me on there, Lee, and sharing all of that.
Yeah, and I want to do a plug for you because I know that you'd appreciate this, because if there's a parent listening and you're in Pennsylvania and you're from Louisiana, if you're moving back to Baton Rouge, look, Coach will take that roster to 100, just like STM and Lafayette, right, Coach? I mean, if you got some kids that want to move in, great kids, go to Parkview Baptist. If you're thinking of moving back to Baton Rouge or moving and you love football or other sports, obviously think of Parkview Baptist, right, Coach?
That's it. We're in a great spot right here in the middle of Baton Rouge, in a great location, and man, it's a faith-based school. And so if that's important to you, the academic sides are solid, and then athletics, we're going to put a product on field. Hopefully that former alums and people that are associated with Parkview are proud of. We're going to do it the right way. I can't guarantee how many games we're going to win, but we're going to do it the right way. We're going to give these kids the best possible experience they can have as a high school student athlete. That's
what matters. Don't hang up, Coach, because I want to thank my sponsors, but I got one question for you at the end. I want to thank John Harvey Toyota, Harvey Subaru, and also Medine's Collision Center in Baton Rouge on Kincaid Avenue, 357-7983, locally 225. If you have problems with your vehicles, cars or trucks, this is the company to take it to. With all the flooding and all the rain and wrecks or whatever, this is family-owned since the 60s. Medine's Collision Center, John Harvey Toyota, Harvey Subaru, and Shreveport, Bossier City. Coach, one final thing. What do you enjoy most about being back home, being back in Louisiana? Is it the food? I know family, but what are you enjoying most being back?
Yeah, food is for sure up there, man. I love Kentucky. I love Louisville, man, but the food, whew, I mean, obviously nothing compared to Kentucky, brother. You ain't getting none of that, none of this kind of food for sure. But yeah, family, of course, food. And you know what, man? I love fishing. I love bass fishing and getting out there. And so having just about unlimited, areas to go fish and put a boat in and go wherever the heck you want, man. That part right there to me has been pretty special, and taking my kids out and going fishing with them and giving them those experiences is second to none. And up in Kentucky, I mean, you're limited a little bit. You got some lakes here and there, but not like down here. So those are the three things. So I guess the 3 F's, man: food, family, and fishing.
And you know what? I'm with you on all of those and fishing. We got saltwater and freshwater. We got the best of both worlds here. I love to fish. I don't have enough time to fish more, but I love to fish, Coach. And look, good. Don't hang up. Everybody go to our website, lafootballmagazine.com. Parkview will be featured in our preview magazine, which I know Jace is going to be interviewing Coach soon. And we're going to have all 300 high schools, all 12 colleges, recruiting section. It'll come out late August. We always send one of the coaches. And be sure to go to our website, lafootballmagazine.com, to pre-order a copy for late August, September. We'll see you really soon. Thanks for enjoying the show. I hope you enjoyed the show, and I know I did. We'll be back soon.
Thanks for listening to the Sports Scouting Report podcast with Lee Brecheen.